Hey guys, my name is Amy, and this is my introduction project. I'm an elementary ed major, so I wanted to do something related to that. So I wanted to do some kind of lesson plan to teach to elementary students. Based off something that we've talked about in this class. So my statement of problem is, how do you teach elementary students about electrical generation? And more specifically, I want to figure out what grade and then possibly tie it to a North Carolina standard. And then some questions I want my students to be able to answer are, what is electricity and how can we make electricity? And I'll probably refine those questions a little bit more and also add a little bit more to it. The deal method. So D, describe how you define the problem. I define this problem as a way to teach material that we have learned as college students to teach to elementary students, and preferably a certain grade within elementary school. E, explored all possible solutions. So I want to do further research to see what material I want to cover on electrical generation, because I kind of just have like this broad topic and I want there to be certain standards that the students understand in certain topics. And then also what independent and guided practice I would like to complete with the students, and then a possible experiment. So the independent practice thing that they would kind of complete on their own, and then guided practice thing that we would do together as a class. And then I think an experiment would be really fun because it'd be a visual way of learning what we were just talking about. And then A, acted on one solution. So I want to combine all the research into one lesson plan. So everything I look up, experiments, and combine it all down into one concise lesson plan. And then I want to try this lesson or experiments to see if it'd be effective. So I want to test it on either some of my friends or roommates or whoever, and just see if the experiment and lesson plan are good and actually would be a good lesson plan to teach in the future. And then L, look back to evaluate your solution, or how do you plan to do this. And once I finish the lesson plan and test it on a group, I will evaluate how effective or ineffective this lesson was in teaching and engaging students in electrical generation. So not only do I want them to learn, but I also want them to have fun and be engaged. So just seeing if the lesson was actually effective within both of those things at the end. This is my Gantt chart, and I kind of struggled with this because I wasn't exactly sure how to create one, but I found a website and this is kind of what I created. But after looking at some other people's projects, I kind of realized there's more I can do with this and kind of have a better idea of what an actual Gantt chart looks like. So I know I'm going to go back in and change this and probably use a different website, but this is just the general basis of what I have right now. I definitely want to go in and make it more specific to my project. So like, instead of just like the broad guidelines, also adding in like when I want my lesson plan done and when I want to test it out, and when I need the experiment done by, and all these different things. So this is just a very vague Gantt chart right now. So description of resources used. So I'm going to be using a lesson plan template from a previous class that I've had. It just makes sense to me and it's a great resource. And then I found this website on electrical generation for kids. It's really helpful because it just explains things in very simple terms, and also has some helpful videos and other resources on there that I thought would be good. The electrical generation PowerPoint from this class, I thought that I had good information on it that I could use, and also just like all the PowerPoints and information that we've learned. And then I found another website of possible experiments to do with electricity. So I just need to go through that and figure out which ones can actually be done and which ones I want to do. And then I included two different standards. So one is K2 science and the other one is 3-5 science. So just depending on what grade I choose, I want to try to find a standard that relates to electricity. So I'm kind of leaning towards like fourth or fifth grade, but I'm just going to go through the standards and figure out which one applies best to this topic and the experiments I want to do. So this is my lesson plan template. So it was for a different class, so I'm gonna have to change up just a little bit, but I'm gonna have a place for the standard, the objective, which would be the questions of like, what is electricity, like the things that I want them to be able to answer, and then the assessment, like how I will be assessing them in that. And then we have a few different things. We have the focus and review / engage. That's kind of like the hook, like it could be a video or whatever I choose to do just to get them engaged with this topic. And then I will have teacher input, which is like presenting the information, and then guided practicing we do as a class, independent practicing they do on their own based off what they've learned. And then the closure is just kind of wrapping it all up. So self-evaluation, I plan to accomplish a completed lesson plan and then having students understand electrical generation through the material and experiments. So kind of just the objectives I want them to be able to answer. And then skills learned, lesson planning. I haven't had much experience with lesson planning other than a couple classes. So it's always good to have more. And then planning experiments with a class. I feel like that is really helpful just to kind of see what works and what doesn't work. And then after future professional plans. So this will help me in the future with having more practice and creating lesson plans and also having possible lesson plans to use in the future. So this lesson plan is good. There's no reason I couldn't use it in the future. So it's just a good resource to have. So yeah.